Hey, hey, what's going on? I'm Alex Southey, and you are listening to another episode of Your Worst Song. I have Mabel here on the video version. She's currently sniffing the microphone. And my guest today, in a slightly shorter interview than normal, just because there was a hard out, as they say in the biz, Gray. We chat a bunch of stuff. We chat being a woman in the industry, specifically, actually, in her case. She's a musician, but also we talk a lot about the engineering and producing side of things. And that's kind of what she is getting into mostly about when we get into that kind of thing. Has a great background in Nelson, BC. That's where she grew up, and we share some common ground there because that's where some of my grandparents were. And it's a beautiful place. People who don't know where we're talking about should at the very least Google it. And if they're close by, should go visit because it's gorgeous. You will not want to leave. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Hope you're having a good day. I'm Alex Southey, and you are listening to Your Worst Song. Yeah, nice to meet you virtually. I was doing a little bit of research, as I should, because I'm supposed to be responsible. And it says your bio says you're based in the mountains of BC, and because I'm actually from BC, I would like to press you on that. I want to know, your BC origin.
Totally. Yeah, I'm actually based in Vancouver now, but I was born
Okay.
I was born in Vancouver and then raised in Nelson. Yeah.
Wow, that's actually where some of my grandparents are from, and
No way.
I was there only like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It's seriously one of the most beautiful places that I've been in Canada.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I lived in Montreal for a while, and I love Montreal for its vibrancy, but
Definitely.
coming back to visit my parents, I was just like, whoa. It's just so the opposite. It's so lush and green and beautiful, and
Well, it kind of. I want to continue on this kind of. By the way, we have started. I'll let you know. Yeah. I kind of want to continue on this trail of questioning because, as much as I loved Nelson, I was probably in my late 20s when I visited. I knew it was for a finite time. It was to see family. If I was a kid growing up in Nelson, it's very beautiful and there are good things about it, but I would worry potentially there wouldn't be enough to do once you reached like 15. You'd really be yearning to get out of there.
that's kind of the vibe.
Okay.
I am so grateful to have grown up there. It's like I don't know anyone else in this time period that grew up like the way that me and my friends that grew up in Nelson did, where
Right.
the door is just like unlocked and you can just walk to your friend's house and it's a very safe community,
Yeah.
very outdoorsy, and everyone's spending time outside all the time and exercising all the time, which is really fun. And there's sports that I do that I don't think I would have had access to at the frequency that I did if I'd grown up anywhere else.
Like what? Are you like a professional kayaker or something?
No, I wish I could kayak better than
Okay.
I actually can. No, I skied all the time.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, all the time. And then hiking lots as well. And just in the most beautiful mountains too. It's not like it's just a random trail. You're 20 minutes from your house and you're in these beautiful, alpine looking mountains. So
Yes, absolutely. Truly like postcard level kind of stuff.
yeah, it's not a real place. It's crazy.
That's how it felt to me. And it also felt, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know
Yeah.
if you've been to this other place that I'm about to reference, but to me it felt kind of like a sliver of like a BC version of Portland.
Yeah,
Like-
kind of.
Especially these days, there's more like the little craft brewery spots, and there's probably little artists making things and selling things, and it's just what
Totally.
I mean this all in like a positive way. I loved it. Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good comparison. I feel like there's levels of weird that Portland has that Nelson
Yes.
shares.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, it's also so I did hit 15 and definitely wanted to get out and just see more of the world.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to have grown up there, and I love going back and visiting, and it was a really sweet community to grow up in, artistically speaking, very supportive for the most part, aside from some rude kids in high school, but that happens
Every
there.
scene and every high school will have that,
That happens everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't know, growing up and discovering that I was queer, there's just there wasn't a huge representation of that. It was me and my one friend. that were like out in high school, and so like
Right.
that's a piece of it. And then yeah, like just being in the industry that I am in, it's challenging to get a career off the ground in such an isolated place.
Yes, both of those things are. I want to hear more about that
Yeah.
because you have kind of done it. You have at the very least vaulted yourself out of there, and now you're playing different spots in Canada and so on. So, what is the first step you take then past just passionately writing in your room, presumably?
Yeah, I just knew that I wanted to get into a studio. I wanted to have like
Yeah.
good recordings of what I
Yeah.
was working on. So luckily I have a bunch of family in Vancouver. So like I spent a lot of time coming back and forth kind of.
That's a bit of a hike, though. For people who don't know, Nelson
Yeah.
to Vancouver is what, like 5 hours or
Eight.
7?
It's
8.
eight
Oh
to
my
nine,
god.
depending on the weather and the traffic. Yeah.
That's like that's a drive from Toronto to New York. That's
Yeah,
insane.
it's long.
Yeah.
It's long. Now it is a beautiful drive, I will say.
Right.
It's gorgeous. It's
Much
like,
nicer than the drive from Toronto to New York.
yeah, like I remember on my first tour, like I hadn't been to Toronto before I started touring, and on my first tour doing the drive from Toronto to Ottawa, and me and my bandmate, who's also from Nelson, being like so used to, whatever, you're on like a 9-hour drive, it's no problem. You have to go to the bathroom, you just like stop off to the side and like hike into kind of a woodsy
Right.
area. No problem. And we're driving and we're like, oh no, this is all concrete. Like
Oh yeah, 100%.
we can't pull off to the side. Like everyone will see us. We have to find like, a subway or something.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a trek for sure. So yeah, I'm lucky enough that like my parents were taking us to Vancouver with some frequency. So started saving up money and then went into the recording studio, and I knew I think I started in the studio when I was like 13 or 14, like pretty
Oh,
young.
young. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I have always had like a one-track mind. I set my sights on something and I'm like, that's gonna happen.
That's a good thing for a career where you need to be exceptionally ambitious to
Yeah.
begin to make it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I hopped into the studio at Blue Light in Vancouver here, and then did my first EP and continued working with them for like my next album, and then met one of the producers there who's kind of like more freelance, and we started working together. And then I kind of over the pandemic wanted to have I felt like I didn't have the language to be able to communicate what I wanted my album to sound like. I was
Oh,
really
yes.
like
Yep.
I want it to be this sound, but I don't know like how do I voice that? How do
Yeah,
I
it's hard. It's frustrating to describe around the thing instead of just describe the
I want it to be
thing.
bubbly, and he's like, I
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So then I started kind of like just watching videos on just like really entry level production stuff.
Yeah.
And that sparked an interest in like that side of things, because before it had really just been songwriting for me.
Yeah. And maybe this is a stupid question. I just want to jump in. When you were looking up videos to teach you those things, like I think that's actually a fairly new thing in the grand scheme of musicians. Like that's you can just go on YouTube and learn what compression is instead of having
Yeah.
to. Is that what you're saying? Like just YouTube videos, there were options.
Yeah, I had Logic,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's a nice DAW to get started on, just because it's pretty like you can go further with it, but you can also start getting decent sound out of it without
100%. It's also just like the slightly graduated version of GarageBand, which so many
Totally.
people end up with. So yeah, it's a great one.
Totally. So I started with that, and yeah, I just kind of wanted to know like, yeah, how you manipulate a sound and how you want it to when you have an idea for it, but you don't know how to like get the idea out of your brain to be
Yeah.
an actual product.
Yeah.
And then that kind of sparked an interest in like engineering and producing for me. And so I applied to some programs and actually I was gonna like move to London, and then the pandemic happened. So that
London, England?
London, England.
Wow.
I went to a program there. That was
Wow.
like 3 years. Then the pandemic happened. So that was not gonna happen.
Every person on this podcast has a pandemic story.
Everyone in the world has
yeah,
like,
well,
oh,
totally.
my life was gonna, go in this
Do
direction.
this thing. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my COVID story. And then I ended up finding a program that's like an accelerated 12-month program in Montreal. I moved
Okay.
out there in 2022 and did that program. Turns out I love producing and engineering, even if it's not just for me.
Okay.
And then now I'm kind of doing both. My music is my like main focus, but the fact that it's just so cool working with artists and getting their ideas to be like an actual product.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing, because I know that feeling as an artist to like
Yeah.
have this crazy idea and you're like, I don't know if this is gonna happen, and then someone's able to bring it to life, and that's just like such a cool feeling to be able to do that for myself and for other people, you know?
For sure. And I feel like learning that too, like learning those, let's say, behind the mic skills, not the songwriting stuff, has probably impacted the way you write.
Definitely.
Like you hear about actors trying to direct their first movie, and after that they realize how they should approach acting differently.
Yeah, and I definitely realized like I'm still good friends with my producer that I worked with for a while, and like I was annoying. Because I know now, like being at the control board when someone's like, yeah, I want a squishy sound, and you're like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what that means.
Well, super quickly, just you may have been annoying, but also, what age were you? You started younger than other people, so you've got a pretty good excuse.
This is true. Yeah, I was like 16 or whatever, but
yeah.
But yeah, like I don't know, and I think I've talked to a lot of like female artists, both that I've worked with, and my experience as a woman myself is like it's still an industry that very much like men just have like 6% of the songs you hear on radio are produced by women. Like that's like a horrifyingly low number for 2025.
Yeah, right.
They just totally still have this monopoly on the industry, which isn't a bad thing. There's like lovely, talented men out there for sure.
Sure.
But especially being like a young woman growing up in studios, your ideas get talked over, or you get convinced into like turning a song into something that you don't want it to because you don't understand how things work.
Yeah.
And I just kind of got sick of that. And like, that's no shade on the men that I work with.
No.
Amazing people for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I've had these conversations now with the female artists that I produce for, and they're always like, this is just such a different experience. And whether that's good or bad, it's like that option hasn't really existed before.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to have that. And I also think looking at like the women that are, at the top of the music industry, like Lady Gaga's a prime example. Billie Eilish is a great example. They know how to produce. They know how to engineer, so they can manipulate things to be exactly what they want. And I think that's like just such a strong and important skill set now,
Well, it's like taking all of the power back for how you're going to express something instead of leaving it in the hands of other people. And like you said, it might be super well-meaning, but also there are just different ways that simply, generally speaking, a man and a woman will relate to each other and have a working relationship, versus if you work with another woman, you've both been through the same recording experience, like you're saying. So there's like a double layer of understanding that isn't kind of the same thing.
100%. Yeah. And like, I think the biggest thing that I take into every session that I'm producing or engineering for, that I took from my own experience as an artist, was like, I'd bring these songs in where I wrote them when I was like, really in my feelings or whatever.
Yeah.
And we would just like start tracking vocals, and there's no conversation of like, what emotions were you feeling when you wrote these? It's just like, let me just press record. We're just going to roll, and whatever like sounds the best, we're going to use. So when I start a session, I'm always like, when we're tracking vocals, I ask the artist, like, share as much or as little as you're comfortable with, but like, what did you write this song about? As a listener, what emotions should I be feeling, and what headspace should you be in as you're recording these vocals? And every single person that I tell that to is like, I've never been asked that before.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's crazy. That's like what, vocals make or break a song, in my opinion. And
it's a performance. That's literally the word. Yeah.
It's a performance. And, there's certain vocalists that are out there right now that like just have such a way of making you feel a certain thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like everyone has that ability. It's just they're maybe not being coached in the way that they should. So like,
I agree.
It's insane to me that those questions are groundbreaking, but I get it. I wasn't asked those questions, and that's why I ask them now.
No, that's great, and it allows someone to inhabit what they were feeling at the time they wrote it. Because like, what if you show up and it's a sad song, but you're feeling pretty good that day? You're not going to be like singing with a pep in your step. You should be re-inhabiting what it was. Something I also wanted to mention is, and I don't know if I'm for sure correct, but I'm pretty sure this is correct. Like you said, you only hear 6% of music on the radio that you hear is women, which is absolutely an insane statistic.
Insane
But
number, yeah.
I would bet that female engineers and producers is this even smaller number.
That's the statistic for engineers. So that you're
Oh,
hearing.
sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was
hearing,
like, what the fuck?
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm hearing,
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of Sheryl Crow for all my life. Like that alone should make 6%.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's the statistic for like producers and engineers. So when you're hearing music on the radio, only 6% of it has been recorded or produced.
Okay, sorry, I see. That's still insane, but a little closer to what I was imagining.
A little bit less depressing.
Yeah, it's like 6%. That's a real uphill battle if that was the case.
Absolutely.
But
the Grammys this year were so like women. That'd be such a bummer. Yeah,
that would be a real bummer. Well, okay, then let's get into your music because I know you got a hard out, as they say, as well. What in terms of gigging, what's been your best gig experience?
Ooh, great question. Yeah. I feel like I can always. I would say I haven't. Knock on wood. I haven't had a bad one yet.
Okay.
Have there been ones that have maybe pushed to the limits of what I was expecting to do that evening? But I always like learn something from it, and performing is like my favorite thing in the whole world. So I'm always going to find some fun in it. I would say the most memorable performance I've had to date was last summer. I played a show here in Vancouver, and I played a show it was a single release show.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'd been teasing parts of the song on TikTok and Instagram or whatever for like months. And then the song came out the night before the show.
Mm-hmm.
And when we played that song, it was the last song we played, and everyone in the crowd sang back.
Oh.
And it was crazy because not only, that's the coolest feeling in the world when you're like, oh my God, I wrote these lyrics like by myself in my bedroom, and now there's like 150 people singing them back to me. But that was crazy because it had only been out for like a day.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Like, either these people have just been listening to this clip on Instagram and TikTok so much, but they sung more than just what had been posted. And I was like, people listened. They listened to the song like in time for the show, and they know
I think it's time for you to name your fans. You know, there's like the Swifties, there's other, whatever.
About this, I'm like, but I feel like it's like they need to name themselves.
I agree with you. That's much better. You want it to be organic, but I do wonder what it'll be. Will it be like a play on Gray of some kind?
That seems like the more obvious thing. Yeah, there's some really funny like fan group names out there. I just learned that Benson Boone's fans are called Booners.
I mean, that's fitting. Everything about that is fitting.
It is fitting, unfortunately.
The only thing that would be better is like, I guess it wouldn't involve the B, but like flippers. He's always doing flips and stuff,
He's always doing flips.
Yeah. No one can say he can't do a flip. He can do a flip.
One day his knees are going to give out, and is it going to be on stage?
They're going to wheel him out at the Grammys in like, 30 years.
Yeah, in a sparkly jumpsuit in 80 years. Yeah.
Totally. Okay, that's a good answer. Quickly, maybe you said it, sorry if I missed it. Where was that?
That was in Vancouver.
Oh, sorry, specifically where?
Oh, at Green Auto. Yeah.
Green Auto. So tell me about that. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, they're like, I guess they're not super new. I think they kind of popped up around like when things started to reopen after COVID. Mm-hmm. But they're an awesome space. Like any small artist, I'm like coming to Vancouver, I'm like, go to Green Auto because their structure doesn't, I'm allowed to curse on this podcast, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It doesn't fuck over small artists. And there's a lot of venues that are around that same kind of like 150, 200 cap that will charge you insane fees. And then you just end up, and I'm someone
barely breaking even, if anything,
Yeah. I like to pay my band. That's the idea. But I like to pay my band. I like to pay my
communist. Yeah.
What? And historically when I've played in Vancouver and it hasn't been there, it's like some insane fee or like they didn't communicate the fee structure before I played. Now the show's over and somehow I owe money and like
they're springing something on you never talked about. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And like I think that those venues exist because small artists don't know that that's like not what should be happening. And Green Auto is run by this guy Mike who's like awesome and just wants to see the Vancouver music population do so well. So it's never a money loss show. It's,
right.
Usually I'm at least breaking even. Sometimes crazy, I even get to pay myself. So,
How
yeah,
should
it's
be
like,
how should people be picturing this place? What is it like? Does it look like a version of a bar with a stage? Is it like
no,
Green Auto sounds like an auto car thing?
and that's what it was. It was a
Okay.
body shop. So it's got this like roll down top. It's a very industrial
Oh,
feeling
cool.
space.
Yeah.
And then they built it out to be like a venue. So there's a bar, there's a stage, with, like drum kit, like a kit riser and the whole deal. And it's awesome. They have three stages there. They have an outside one, an inside one, and then a second inside one. And they
Damn.
do like a music festival there in the summer. But the main stage is awesome. They have this like roll down top that in the summer sometimes will just be like open, so people are spilling out.
Yeah, that's
It's
cool.
great. Yeah, and like honestly, just such a great way to discover other small artists, both
Right.
like Vancouver and just people who are touring through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they usually have like a minimum of three bands on the lineup or three artists on the
Cool.
lineup. So
I
yeah,
have a few
and
friends still living in Vancouver. I'm going to recommend they go there.
they should. It's like yeah, and some people who are like playing much larger venues now were playing Green Auto last year, and every once in a while like someone will just do a Green Auto show that can
Nice.
play a venue to like 1,000 people. They're just like, yeah. I know like Mac DeMarco was watching a show that like Finn Wolfhard played there a couple months ago,
Oh, wow.
and Mac DeMarco was there, and everyone was like, "What the hell, Mac DeMarco? Like, Green Auto?" Like,
Yeah, that's funny.
yeah. But it's just such a fun like hub, and if I ever have a free night, I'm like, man, what's going on at Green Auto? Because there's
Cool.
usually events most nights.
Okay, I'm 100% going to go the next time I'm in
Definitely,
Vancouver.
definitely.
You sort of alluded to some worse experiences depending on how the staff or the management or whatever
Yeah.
talks to you. But the second question is a more open-ended. What is your worst gig experience?
Great question. Oof. I'm like, how do I be diplomatic about this? It was a while ago now. I would say I played a bar when I was like still in high school, and it was just me and my guitar. I didn't have a band, and they did like session. It was like a monthly session thing, and they would bring like
Okay.
an artist in, and you play for like whatever 2 hours or something, and
Sure.
and it's definitely an environment where like people are eating and drinking and whatever. So they're not like, it's not like a concert.
Yeah, they're not sitting with their hands folded in their laps watching you attentively.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or dancing. I'm like,
Okay, right.
I don't need to be like we're in a museum, but I
Right.
would like some focus, It's
Yes,
really
definitely.
hard to play if people are talking constantly. Like really
Yeah.
hard to play.
Yeah.
And I played for 2 hours and I like couldn't hear myself. It was just chatting. It was drunk people. The space was crammed. And from then on, I was just like, I am going to just play shows where people know that they're going for music and that they're not just going for drinks.
Yeah.
Because it's just so challenging. And to be honest, when I've been a patron at those places, I feel bad for people that are like playing and people are just talking over
It's
them.
a fucking bummer for everybody. Like, it's somewhat
It is
annoying for the people who are expecting to just eat and talk with their friend in peace, and it's annoying for the musician.
Exactly, because you feel bad talking over them, and then obviously
Yeah.
the general like level of
Keeps rising.
just keeps rising, and it's not fun. It's not
No,
fun.
there's only so much you can do to sort of fight that din of noise until it's like, well, you're going to lose that battle. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And now everyone's yelling or like
Yes,
whatever.
yes. Okay,
Yeah,
so that was the worst
I would say
generally.
that was the worst. I feel like everything else, I've definitely had some like bumps. There's been some like hellish
Sure.
sound checks or like crowds that aren't super fun.
Yeah.
But that I would say that's the worst. And I learned from it. I still
Okay.
found I was like, cool. So this is not my vibe. I'm not gonna.
Good. Yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna play where people are coming expecting to like eat and drink. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Well, I assume this place that you're talking about wouldn't have that necessarily, what I'm about to reference. But something I asked people following up on the show questions is any green rooms that have stood out to you, like interesting green rooms.
Yes. Okay. Two. There's
Okay.
one. We're going back to it because we're touring to Ottawa.
Okay.
At Live on Elgin, they have like a green room that's legit. And I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes venues that have less than like 300 people cap, you don't have a green room.
Oh,
You are,
absolutely
like,
not. No.
You have a bathroom, or
Yes.
your stuff is behind the stage, or like whatever.
Usually
And
that, I feel like.
It's usually that.
Yeah.
It's usually that. And they have a legit green room. And I remember getting there, and they had like a little printed out piece of paper that was like, welcome Lila Gray and band, like, whatever. And then they had ice water for us, which is also, they
Ooh.
never have that. And I just
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is legit. This feels like a nice, like a nice welcome. My name was also up on the marquee at that venue. So it was
So
just like,
cool.
yeah. And we came to Ottawa, like not really knowing what to expect. And I remember like pulling up and tickets hadn't been selling that well. And I was just like, why did I book Ottawa? Like what was that? I think it was just like, oh, it's in
What
between
was that?
Montreal and Toronto.
Yeah.
And it ended up being like maybe my favorite show on tour. Like we had so much,
Wow.
it sold out. The
Yeah.
crowd was awesome. Like it was a great, great show. And so yeah, that green room stands out. And then the
Okay.
second one I would say
Yeah.
is at this venue in Nelson where the green room is like legit green. It's like this
Ooh.
horrible shade of green.
Oh.
And it's tiny, but it's really funny that they just like it's a legit green room.
Yeah,
Like
that is funny.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to follow up a little bit. Oh, okay. Well, there's a name of a place in Vancouver that I've played, and it's a basement in Gastown. You'll know it if I say it.
Oh?
Sorry. Oh, it is. It's Guilt and Co.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
their green room is, again, not a fancy green room. It's more of like a hallway where the people hang out at the back.
Hang out before you go on stage, yeah.
But I was still sort of impressed just because in
Nice.
general it's a fancy looking spot.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh, the couch that I'm sitting on is a fancy couch in the back.
fancy couch.
And I see fake or real granite or something here. I was impressed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so funny. A friend of mine works at Guild and Co. I'll pass that message along.
Pass it along. Love the green
Love the
hall.
green room.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, song wise. Actually, you know what? Super quick. I want to know if you have any like tried and true methods of getting people out to a show. Maybe the Ottawa show is an example. You were worried about not selling tickets, and then it ended up selling out. So in that small amount of time, what happened? Do you have a specific way of reaching out to your following on a certain social media platform that seems to work?
Yeah. I mean, something that I've noticed now, this is like my third tour across Canada.
Yeah.
People buy tickets last minute. It just
Oh.
happens. Like,
Oh yeah.
people are so bad about buying tickets in advance.
People will text each other at like 7:30 and doors are at 8:30 and they'll be like, "So what are we doing?" And then
Yeah.
they'll buy tickets. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Which is so funny because I'm such an anxious person and I just like the second tickets go on sale, if I want to go to something, I'm like done immediately. Like, so I can't relate to that impulse, but I do.
Okay.
There's a certain level of like I just have to trust that like
Yeah.
people have heard about it, they're gonna come. If I just keep posting about it,
Yeah.
that message will eventually reach them. Honestly, I put up posters. I'd like get posters. put
Physical
up-
posters on nearby the venue. Yep.
Yeah, in every venue that we play or like city that we play, because that makes the difference. I always like end up talking to people after the show, and the last couple times I've put up a good amount of posters. People are like, "Oh yeah, I like saw the poster on Commercial Drive or whatever."
That's crazy. That's good to know that that actually works. Because I would have
works.
thought personally that it was like an old school way that was kind of
Yeah.
out of
I
it.
think
Yeah.
putting the QR code on it is the thing that makes a difference. Because if you're just putting the poster, like everyone's gonna forget about it.
People are going to get on the bus that they're waiting next to and then just forget about it. So the
it's
QR
like-
code leads you to buying tickets?
Easy to buy tickets. Yeah, takes 10 seconds to just like boom, and then your ticket's there, or they've got the link or whatever. So that's one thing. And then the other thing I would say is I send out like I will text people that I know
Oh, yeah.
on Instagram, or if I have their number
Yeah.
a couple days before, and I'm just like, hope to see you on Saturday or whatever, and I just send them the ticket link.
Yeah.
Because I think when it's kind of getting lost in like the just void of people,
The slush. Yeah, the doom
slush
scroll.
of everyone promoting everything all the time.
Yeah.
You see it and you might want to go, but you're not like, I don't know, that happens to me all the time, and I'm like, oh shit, that event was last night or whatever.
Well, especially like people like you or I, if we're in the music community, our feed specifically is inundated with dates instead of if you're a regular person who's just like maybe following up one venue in the city,
Not
you'll
gonna
see
pop
something
up,
once in a while. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's things to go to all the time
Yeah.
that are music related. So yeah, and I think I actually got that idea from a friend of mine who plays like, she's very successful and tours all over the world, and she's like, yeah, I'll just send off messages, and I'm just like, hey, hope to see you, whatever,
No, that's
this
smart.
date in this city. And
Is your friend
and,
like Lord? Oh, it works for her.
No.
My friend is Lord.
yeah, my friend Lord. No, Ralph. She's from Toronto, actually.
Rob. Okay, cool. I gotta follow
Yeah.
up with them then.
Yeah. And
But that's
yeah,
interesting to know.
it's a good strategy. Like
Yeah.
it fully is. And I've had other artists be like, "That's so smart that you did that." Like they come to my show and they're like, "I love that you texted me because like now I'm gonna do that for my shows."
Yeah.
So that's been kind of it's a lot of work. Like it's draining. You know, you have to
It's
think
like
about.
tedious admin kind of work,
Oh my
right?
God, yeah.
But
It's like
this is something that this is related to that. This is something that I would struggle with. It makes sense that that's a strategy where it works because you're bringing the
yeah.
link and the message directly to someone specifically. But I'm an anxious person too, and I would maybe feel. I think what stops people from doing that is they would feel like it's an overstep, even though it's actually not, and people usually appreciate it. Like I assume you're not texting like strangers. You're texting
No.
somebody who would have you in their phone or something, right?
Yeah, it's like mutuals I've had on Instagram where I'm like, oh, we've met at a show,
Right.
or
So it's not weird for you to bring it up.
It's not weird. Like I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah, but or we just like had some interaction. It's not
Yeah,
like just
yeah.
random I follow, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely the first time I did it, I was like, this feels like a little weird. But now I'm kind of like, no, but this is what gets people out.
Exactly.
So,
It's just something that you need to eventually be okay with. And
lots of aspects of like promotion, especially as an independent artist, that are just like, I hate myself a little bit for this, but I have to go for it.
it's like a bit of an icky feeling.
I'm like, kill me. But
Yeah.
but it works. Like the metrics are there. I see that it's working. So is this a corner of my identity that I want to like exploit? No. But am I going to? Yes. You know?
That's the most real I've heard somebody be in a while in this. No, I respect that a lot. And so you think of your social media stuff that you post on TikTok is probably yields the most?
I think like I don't know, it's hard because my goal this year was to really just like double down and just be active all the time, which is so draining and like obviously the worst. But but it does work. Like I noticed when I put out the album, not the deluxe, but like the album, I posted every day for like the 3 weeks after the link to stream it. And the one day that I didn't do that, the streams were like,
holy.
So literally just posting the link and being like, remember to listen to this.
Well, because people say TikTok, well, I'm sure all social media works like this, but TikTok especially, you get what you give. So the more you go on it, the more TikTok is like, oh, this user posts a lot. Let's post them more.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's talking about how TikTok wants you to go viral, which it really doesn't feel like that. I'm going to be so brutal. It does not feel like that. It feels like you're just like chucking things into the void. But
yes.
Yeah, I do notice like if I don't post for, let's say, a week, the next video I post, the views it's like 88 views, and I'm like, oh,
that's wild.
Whereas, if I'm posting regularly, it's like 500, 700, like, the views are
it's a good way to keep users. It's a good way. That's smart.
It's horrible. It's
horrible,
like,
but yes.
Yeah. Not a fun one too. Not one that you're not having fun at any point. Like,
very few benefits in this addiction case. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, let's move to your songs then. What do you think? I sort of flip it from gig to song. So what do you think is your best song that you've put out publicly?
Whew, big question. They all, I mean, not all of them. My collection of favorites, I feel like they rotate. We're in rehearsals for tour right now, so they're like kind of all at the forefront of my, or like the more recent.
You learn what you like too when you're picking out what you're going to play. Yeah.
Exactly. I've really, really been enjoying, there's like 3 that are coming to mind.
Okay.
I will narrow it down because I feel like this is a question that's a one answer.
Sure.
But I'll maybe just spiral my thoughts really quick.
Okay.
There's one called She Moves. That song, I love that song so much. It took me so long to write it. It's about being in love with a girl, and I started it before I had like experienced that. I knew I was queer, but I hadn't. I wrote a verse for it or something, or a chorus. I can't remember. It was like,
so you knew you were into women, but you hadn't actually had a relationship or experience with women.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that had been sitting in my notes for like years. And then I had that experience, and the song just like came to me. And my mom, the day that song or the album came out, she sent me this little voice note, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you," whatever, lovely mom stuff.
Yeah.
And then she started to cry when she started talking about She Moves, and like that got me so not in a homophobic way.
Yeah.
Fully supportive. She was just like, that song is so beautiful, and so I know that when I play that song in front of my, I can't look at my mom.
Oh wow, that's so sweet.
She's gonna cry, and then I'm gonna cry, and it's gonna be bad.
Talk about setting a good example. Your mom, I mean.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, not for homophobic reasons, for like supportive reasons.
Yeah. She was so disappointed. It was awful.
So disappointed,
but it's my best song.
Yeah, exactly. And my bandmates love that one too. Like every time it gets to that point in rehearsal, they're like, "Woo, here we go." But then the other two, that's a mellower one. So when I'm talking about playing live, I love playing higher energy songs.
Sure.
And right now, the two that are kind of like a toss up for me, Something I Knew Was Missing is like, I remember writing that song so vividly. That's one of the singles off the album. That's the song that everyone sang back to me the day after it came out. I feel like when I wrote that chorus, I was like, this is a catchy chorus. This is something that's going to get stuck in your brain. It does this little again and again, and it's just like, a
little earworm.
It's a little earworm, but it's not annoying, I don't think. It's annoying.
No. I mean that in a good way. Yeah, like you need an earworm in the chorus.
You do. And that song is taken on so many forms when we play it live. There's a remix of it. We've done a stripped version. Like,
so cool.
I love that song in all its forms. So that's probably my favorite song I've ever written. But right now I'm also really vibing with one from the deluxe, which is First to Bleed, because it's like female rage, and that's always fun. So.
Okay, that's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good wave to ride.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot with Something I Knew Was Missing, because I think that one's just like, I'm coming up on like almost a year and a half of it being written. And almost a year of it being out, and there hasn't been a day that's gone by where I've been like, fuck this song. So
that's good. Well, let's get into the song that you think fuck this song. What do you think is your worst song?
Okay, so I knew this question was coming, obviously. And I have to reflect on it. There's some that haven't seen the light of day that I'm going to say are the worst songs, but I'm assuming that the podcast is about songs that are out.
It must be one that people can look up.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. This is gonna cause some division, because I have friends that do love this song.
Okay.
I don't like this song.
Okay.
This song I wrote called Loser, which is a song I wrote when I was like literally 14, I think 13 or 14. It's so melodramatic. Like I listen back to it and I'm like, girl, what were you? I wasn't even like going through anything. I think it was
it was writing about what you think you should write about as a dramatic teen.
Like, it was the end to my first like relationship.
Yeah.
But like nothing even bad happened, and I just reflect on it, and I'm just like, oh my god, like it's just that time in your life when like any kind of romance just like affects you so wholeheartedly, and I didn't really have a full sense of self, so it's like your identity's wrapped up in it, and I just reflect on it, and I'm just like, pull yourself together is basically what it is. Like
it sounds like perfect. It serves as perfect evidence of like you said, when you're that age, you haven't. It's different when you're older. You've gone through different relationships. You know what's a big deal and what's not. When you're 14, it really feels like Romeo and Juliet, life or death. Yes.
Yeah, it really does. And I just like. I also think, from like an artistic standpoint, it's not. I'm not saying anything in a cool way or like in a like innovative, eloquent way. I'm like, it's like some of my worst songwriting. I'm like, dude, you put this out. Like,
you can at least, again, you can really cut yourself some slack for being young when you did that stuff.
That's so true. But like, I don't know, as a music lover, like there's songs where I'm like, okay, so I think of it in the way that I think of food, where I'm like, there's like junk food, where it's like, there's no artistic merit in this, but God, it tastes good.
Yes, like, right.
Just like garbage pop, where I'm like, it doesn't mean anything. What are they saying about whatever? But it just hits so good. Yeah,
hits good for 3 minutes.
Exactly. And I'm like, why do I need to keep listening to it? Like, it's a terrible song. And then there's like, this song's changing my life, and every time I feel something, I need to like listen to the song because it makes me feel like they understand my experience. Yeah. I don't think this is either. I think this is like, it's certainly not got any artistic merit to it. Like, I really don't think that Psycho Loser is the hook. And I'm like, wow.
Psycho
Okay,
Loser.
sure. And
That's kind of awesome, though, actually. I kind of love that.
thank you. Yeah, I don't know that it doesn't really mean anything. And then, yeah, it's not doing
Okay.
anything for me. It's
Yeah.
just like, that would be my worst song. I would
Would
say.
you-
I know my best friend will chew me out for this because she loves that song. I think she also likes it in an ironic way. So like,
Right.
you
It's
know.
one of those things. Would you
Yeah.
ever resurrect it? Would you ever play it live?
Ooh, good question. You
Yeah.
know, this has been on my mind because I feel like something that TikTok's been doing recently is like bringing up horrible songs from artists past. Well, they're on
Yes,
tour.
right,
The
right.
prime example I'm thinking of is Katy Perry.
What was the old song that they brought up?
Okay, I can't remember what it's called, but the
Okay.
hook is like, you're like an Indian summer in the middle of winter, and she sings it in this insane voice. It's like not her singing voice.
Oh,
It's really, really bad.
Katy
And
Perry's just been getting punched
I-
left and right in
I watched
deservedly or not, but
yeah,
yeah,
I'm going to say I think there's
absolutely.
there's aspects where I'm like, I'm okay with it. Like,
Yes,
going up
for
in
sure.
space, what are we doing?
I completely agree with you. And referring to
know?
herself as an astronaut, like, come on, like, it is amazing what you got to experience, but don't like cheapen the
But
word
that's 'cause you're
astronaut.
rich, not 'cause-
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. Not
exactly.
'cause you trained for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But my thing is, like, she's letting it. Listen. I understand. Hate on the internet is so real. It sucks. It sucks so bad.
Right.
But I think the best way to respond to it is with humor, and just
Yes.
lean.
Yes.
I think it looks really bad, and I will say, not to bring this back to Benson Boone, he does this too. They feed into it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Just laugh along with people because it is ridiculous.
Absolutely. As soon
And
as
she-
you show you can laugh at yourself, people will move on.
People back off.
Yes.
But if you double down and you're like, guys, like you're being really mean or like whatever.
A good
okay,
example,
great. Now
actually-
you just gave me another thing to make fun of.
100%. Like
Yeah.
a good example of a positive, and then we'll get you out of here. Sorry. A positive
No,
version
all good. It's all
is
good.
is Lord dealing with the South Park thing. And they were like, they made Randy, the like gross dad, say he's technically Lord. And Lord was like, oh yeah, I think that's funny. That's it.
She's so unbothered.
Yes. Perpetually unbothered.
Perpetually unbothered. And I think
Yeah.
it's really, that's the way to approach it. Like,
Yeah.
obviously it does get to you and it's hard, but like, I was having this conversation a couple days ago with a friend of mine where like I posted like slides of, it was like photos I've taken of the light in my apartment recently. And it was
Okay.
just like nice, lovely pictures of like sunshine in my apartment.
Yeah.
And some idiot goes into my comment section and goes, well, isn't every photo of light? And I was
Oh, get out of here.
and normally,
Reported.
yeah, I just delete the comment.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
if
yeah.
I think of something funny, I'll reply.
Sure.
But my best friend hops in the comment section. She hits reply and she goes, "You must be a riot at parties." And I'm gonna leave that up. That's really
Yeah.
funny. Like,
That's good.
really funny.
Pin that, you know.
Pin that.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
That's great.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that's
I think that's the way to
personally,
do it.
I think that's the way to do it. You just gotta
Yeah.
lean in. You have to be able to laugh at yourself.
100%.
And people do leave you alone if you
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny. So yeah. Anyways.
No, I appreciate your insight on that. Okay, well then the last thing I have you do is just restate your name and restate the name of the song choice that you chose for worst song.
Totally. I'm Lila Gray, and my worst song is "Loser." It's off of my first EP, Artificial Chemistry. And yeah, come see us on tour too.
Awesome, yeah.
We won't be playing that song, but but yeah.
But look up that song anyway.
But look up that song anyways. We're
All right.
touring all across Canada in June, so come check us out.
Cool. Thank you very much.